folks. So this week, a few things. We're going to start out by looking at the ethics of technical professional writing. As I say in this assignment, every time you sit down to write for a reader, you've entered a negotiated space, one that is marked by an assumption of honesty and goodwill. What might that mean then, and how does it play out for you as a writer? We're going to read a short article on that and then respond. And then we're going to look a little bit more closely at a specific ethical situation, and that is in the use of secondary sources down here, second part. We're going to read a chapter I wrote for a textbook which presents what I call the accidental plagiarist, someone who's trying to present information fairly but makes errors that falsely results in claims that aren't accurate or not ethically developed. So check that out there. Um, Not note that we're not talking about the usual kind of plagiarism, that you might automatically think of, such as copying someone else's words. That happens, of course, but what we're really talking about is the way that sources are used in your own writing. There are ethical and unethical ways. The unethical ways are what are called patchwork plagiarism and paraphrase plagiarism. It happens a lot, but once you see, you go, oh, okay, I see what I'm doing. You can start using sources better. By the way, synthesizing sources well is the way you do it, and that, as I mentioned earlier, is the mark of a really good academic and professional writer. We're going to continue with secondary sources here by reviewing our note-taking practices, just getting a good sense of how to take notes that are effective for ourselves, because it makes writing so much easier if you have a method to take notes that then just lends itself to synthesizing sources and organizing your paper. So developing a note-taking method is so much easier. I'm going to ask you also to write a references page. So anytime I'm working on a paper, I have a running bibliography, and every time I have a new source, I add it to it. That allows me to see what progress I'm making and what I've got to go on. And also, at the end of the drafting process of the paper, I don't have that drudge work of going back to finish the citations page, the references page, and works cited. So you're going to create a references page now with all the research you've already done and keeping it handy so that you can continue to add more sources to it. Okay, second half of the week, we're going to look at now not secondary sources, but primary sources. How do you present data graphically, visually, charts, graphs, tables, that kind of stuff. We're going to read a chapter from an online textbook, just parts of it, not the whole chapter, just chunks of it. Get a sense of what it is and present it and set up kind of principles for developing your own kind of presentation and visuals. And then I'm going to ask you to analyze the sample report and see how well they did based on your principles in your own views. Then we're going to close the week out by doing our own. And I create a little scenario here in which you are presenting data for the Associated Students of Washington Community College, our student government, to give them a sense of what this data means in graphs or charts and writing and stuff. We're going to close out a little bit of practice here just for fun, see how it goes. Okay, so it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.